they did this. So as you guys all know, in boxing news, as you guys all know, we just had that big fight card over the weekend, Ring 4, best fight card of the year, and the shit was litty. You know, dope card. All the fights were great, great performances, and everything is dope with that. So Monday morning passed, right? So you know how everybody's doing their content and the content creators that are able to like do content during these times and all that and or what have you, and people talking about what happened over the weekend and all that. So I did some monitoring, and the question I have is, or what's throwing me off rather, I want to get into is, if you don't like a boxer, why always talk about him? That's just strange behavior. In my opinion, that's just weird to me. Because it's like, all you motherfuckers say y'all don't like Devin Haney. He's a boring fighter. He's a lame fighter that doesn't have any action. But yet you're always talking about him. You're watching his fights. You're paying attention to everything he does. Every time you open your mouth to talk about boxing, you find ways to throw him in there to say something negative. You know, that's weird to me because it's like, if you don't like him, if you don't like the type of fighter he is, why talk about him? I would even go as far as to say, why even watch his fights? Why pay attention to it? Like, oh, I don't like him. He's a boring fighter. I'm not going to watch his shit. A lot of you motherfuckers, because you new generation of boxing fans are fucking weirdos. So it's like, you claim you don't like the guy, but yet you're watching all his fights and you're paying attention to everything he does. You keep his name in your mouth. You're always talking about him. It's gotten to the point where it doesn't even matter if what you're saying about him is negative. You're still talking about him, you know, but then you'll do all that and you'll claim you claim you don't like him. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you know, I got to keep this shit authentic. So I got to say this. And I'm not anti-Latino or Mexican or nothing like that. The reason why I single out the Mexicans on this is because that's who's talking the most shit. It's not necessarily I don't like Mexicans. Because the cool Mexicans are kind of like low key. They're not really getting involved in this. But a lot of Mexicans, that's who talks the most shit when it comes to the YTBC. You know, that's who's talking the most shit. A lot of these Mexicans and some of these sucker ass niggas. You dig? So we got to keep it real. But the thing about the Mexicans that's weird to me is you had two great Mexican fighters that fought on this card that did their thing and they wilded out. Yeah, I fuck with Puerto Ricans. Love the Puerto Ricans. You had two great Mexican fighters that showed out on this card and they did their thing, right? Bro, I'm telling you right now, bro, unless y'all can put evidence to prove me wrong, I didn't see no Mexicans talking about them. They were just talking about Devin Haney. Like, for real, I'm dead serious. Like I said, I monitor what everybody was saying because I get so irritated with these new generation of fans because they just don't know boxing. So I'm paying attention, right? And none of the Mexicans were talking about what David Benavidez did and what Bam did. They were like little to no dialogue about them, but they just steady talk about Devin Haney, but they're claiming they don't like him. I just find that very strange. Like, you don't like this nigga. You keep screaming up and down he's a boring fighter. You troll him and clown him for losing to Ryan, right? You're calling him pillow-fisted. You're saying that he sues people. You hate his dad. If that's true, if you really feel that in your heart, why are you always paying attention to this nigga then? Why not just ignore him and focus on your fighters? See, that's always the issue I had with the Latinos in boxing, in the YTBC. They literally have their own fighters they could talk about, but they focus on black fighters and they're Latinos. Like, straight Mexican dude, he don't talk about no Mexican boxers, just black fighters all day and all night. That's all he talks about. You look at his content, it's all about black fighters, just finding ways to say something negative about a black fighter. And the problem with that is you come off as a fake person when you do that. See, that's what they're not understanding. And then you come off like you're a bigot. But a lot of people are bigots though, right? So that shouldn't surprise nobody. But I'm just saying, they'll try to spin and project like they're not like that. Then you pay attention to what they're saying and what they're doing. And it's like, oh, this motherfucker feels some kind of way. You do what I'm saying? And it's like, the shit is trash, bro. And it's no disrespect, but it's like, I just don't get why you would sit there. Like, me personally, boxing, if I don't like a fighter, I don't pay attention to him. I rarely talk about him. I don't do none of that stuff. Like, I give y'all an example. I don't really like Teofimo Lopez. Notice, for those that actually do follow my boxing content, for those that actually do, notice I never talk about him. Notice that I never talk about dude. Because I don't really like Teofimo Lopez. I'm not going to cap. I'm just not, something about him just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just not feeling dude. Is he a good boxer? I acknowledge he is. But I rarely talk about that dude because I don't really like him. But the Latinos, no disrespect, but we got to keep it real over here. They claim they don't like Devin Haney, but yet they're always talking about the nigga. They keep that nigga's name in their mouth. Every day, you go on any of these boxing content, there's going to be Latinos or Mexicans on the panel. They're going to be talking shit about Devin Haney, and they're not going to stop. When this fight was first announced back in the summer, it was the same old shit. Latinos coming on these boxing panels, finding ways to disrespect Haney. Now they're still doing it. You dig? They don't really want to give him credit for beating Brian Orman Jr., so they're coming up with bullshit instead of just keeping that shit real. And it's like, I'm just confused. Like, why talk about a fighter you don't like when there's other fighters that clearly you like you could talk about? They're not doing that. That's just strange to me. Like the Mexicans, they're not really celebrating what Benavidez and Rodriguez did, but yet they're focused on Haney for whatever reason. That's just weird to me. That don't sit well with me. I don't know how y'all feel about that. To me, that's weird, in my opinion. You know, like I said, I've been knowing these new generation of boxing fans are fucking weirdos, and they be having these bullshit ass boxing takes, and they be trying to act like they know what they're talking about. And it's like, man, if you don't get your lame, unknowledgeable boxing head ass the fuck up out of here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is what it is. Now y'all want to clown Brian Orman Jr. He's a scrub now. He's a hype job now because he lost a fight. So, see, this is what I was saying. American boxing fans, they're not real fans. They're just waiting to bash somebody. And then most of you motherfuckers are fucking haters. Anytime you prey on somebody's downfall or hope somebody lose, you're a fucking hater. You dig? And a lot of you motherfuckers be doing that. You're sitting there hoping somebody lose a fight and shit. Only a fucking hater would do that. Somebody who's not a hater wouldn't do no shit like that. You dig? Just keeping it real. Dudes is fucking haters, bro. It ain't no disrespect. It's just we gotta keep it real over here. See, the reason why people don't like me is because I'm too honest. People rather be lied to and get told shit that sound good. People don't really want to hear the absolute truth. That bothers people. And that's why, not everybody, but that's why a lot of people be frowning on Solidus-T. You know, that's what it is. I understand that, and I don't give a fuck. I'm still going to talk my shit. Because like I said, the YTBC, it's just more haters than anything in this shit. Ain't no real fans in this shit. You hear these motherfuckers talk about boxing? If you a logical thinking person and you understand boxing, how can you respect these takes? Like, how can you respect it? You shouldn't be able to. You know what I mean? It don't make no sense. Brian Orman Jr. ain't no fucking hype job. Brian Orman Jr. is a good boxer. He just lost to a better boxer. It's really that simple. But again, these crazy ass, weird ass new generation of boxing fans, they got to put extra sauce on it. They don't need to be there. That's all that is, bro. He's a good fighter. Nothing really wrong with him. Every fighter can improve, so you can't really say he needs to improve. Nigga, everybody can improve. You know, so we can't really say that. He just lost to a better fighter. That's all that was. Devin Haney is a better fighter than Brian Orman Jr. That's why he lost to Devin Haney. You dig? Shouldn't be that hard to figure out, you know? Devin Haney fights to win. He doesn't fight to entertain or whatever the fuck y'all call it. But see, all you guys that criticize Devin Haney knew that, and you still talk shit. So that's how I know you guys as haters. You guys don't truly understand boxing. And like I said, if you watch that fight and you're just sitting there saying it's a boring fight, then I'm just going to assume you don't really enjoy boxing. You're just a casual. You're just a casual. Like, you don't fuck with boxing like that. You're just a casual, you know? I was on that panel and somebody said that Anthony Yarde got more skills than David Benavidez. Where was that shit at in the fight? Anthony Yarde had an off night? All right. Anthony Yarde had an off night then, I guess. Nigga, the way David was able to walk in, the way he was able to set up his punch selection and combos, I ain't never seen Anthony Yarde fight like that. But somehow Anthony Yarde was more skilled than Benavidez, somebody had said to me, or said. You see what I'm saying? These so-called boxing fans in this generation are fucking weirdos. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They'll just say whatever. That's why it's so easy to clash with these motherfuckers, because motherfuckers are so uneducated on how boxing really works. But I want to say this, though. Shout out to David Morrell, because when he fought Benavidez, he did better than Anthony Yarde did. And I remember people were saying that Anthony Yarde was going to be a tougher fight for Benavidez than David Morrell. I remember just laughing at that. Like, so y'all disrespect David Morrell and y'all put Anthony Yarde above him on a skill meter. See? New generation of boxing fans don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So shout out to David Morrell, because when he fought Benavidez, he didn't get pummeled like that. Yeah, he lost and David Benavidez won, but he actually had success against Benavidez. He actually won rounds against Benavidez. Can't say that for Anthony Yarde, now can you? So what does that tell you? David Morrell is better than Anthony Yarde. But there were some people, they were swearing up and down that Anthony Yarde was going to be a tougher fight for Benavidez than Morrell. Very laughable. You should be laughing at that. But that's what I was getting told when I was on these various panels, So, like I said, people don't know what they be talking about. They just be capping, bro. And that's how that shit work. And that's real. Because like I said, Benavidez tore Anthony Yarde up, bro. He did not do that to David Morrell. David Morrell actually was hitting Benavidez with some shots. He actually was backing Benavidez up when he chose to attack back. And he got rounds on Benavidez. Anthony Yarde went in and got his ass smoked fucking around with David Benavidez. And all you stupid motherfuckers that said Anthony Yarde was going to be a challenge for Benavidez, you're basically forced to eat crow all day, all week for that matter. See, if you understood boxing, you would not have been saying no stupid shit like that. You would have knew better. Nigga, Anthony Yarde was never a skilled fighter like that. He's a big, strong He's a big, strong, athletic fighter that can hit a little bit. That's it. But when it comes to skillful boxing, he was never that, bro. That's why it was laughable when that fucking idiot said that he was more skilled than Benavidez. But back to the Haney shit. You don't like Devin Haney, and I'm not even saying that's illegal or you're wrong for that. My only thing is I scratch my head, even though I got a head full of hair, scratching my head, I'm thinking to myself, why do these niggas keep talking about this nigga if they don't like him? Every time I look at one of these panels, it's always, keeping it real, it's always a Latino person. They're always talking down on this nigga. Why do you always talk about this nigga if you don't like him? Shouldn't you be talking about a Mexican fighter? There's plenty of great Mexican fighters. These Mexican boxing fans on these panels, they rarely talk about them. They just want to focus on the black fighters. So now I'm starting to think, even though they're saying negative shit, this is how Mexicans show they love black people. I'm starting to think that now. That's what it is. Never mind if they're saying something negative or they're saying some shit. It is what it is. I'm starting to think they love black fighters, and this is how they show it. Because, again, there's many great Mexican fighters. Lots of great Hispanic fighters. They doing their thing. And on these panels, these Mexican boxing fans, they rarely talk about them. They just focus on the black guys. They just love the black guys for some reason. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's just weird to me to sit there and all the time talk about a fighter you claim you don't like. I just find that weird. I don't know how y'all feel. That's just weird to me. Yeah, that's all good. That sounds all good, That's just weird to me. It's not, I'm not trying to attack nobody. I just find that weird. You know, this is just further proof that the new generation of boxing fans are just fucking weirdos. That's all it is. It's just further proof. You know, because that's just very strange to me, bro. Because that's all motherfuckers are talking about all day today. Haney, 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 Haney. A guy that y'all claim is boring and y'all don't like, but that's the only nigga y'all want to talk about out of all these motherfuckers that fought. Like, that's just weird to me, you know. Ban Rodriguez, he arguably had the best performance of the night. The way he just beat down that dude or just outboxed him, that was arguably the best performance of the night. I'm telling you, unless I'm missing something, from what I heard, Mexican boxing fans that were jumping on these panels were barely talking about that. Instead, they'd rather talk about a fighter they claim they don't like. That's just not normal to me. That's strange behavior to me. And that's real. Straight up. David 300 did what he was supposed to do. Bam Rodriguez, his performance was great. Bam's a great fighter. And I did not hear Mexicans, fight fans, talk about that. They were just so focused on talking shit about Devin Haney. You would think they would have said, fuck Devin Haney, we fuck with Bam, and we're talking about Bam. They did not do that. Instead, they focused on Haney. And at the same time, claim they don't like Haney. So why are you all on this nigga dick if you don't like him? Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that. Mexican fans is kind of, they some fucking weirdos, bro. I'm telling you. Something's up with them. Something's up with them. You know, and that's all of that. That's just weird, bro. You know, I literally was scratching my head at all that shit. Like, I don't know what's going on with these folks, bro. You know, because I'm telling you, bro, they swear they don't like him. They swear he's this. They swear he's that. But yeah, that's all they talk about. You know, Haney this, Haney that, Haney this, Haney that, Haney this, Haney that, Haney this, Haney that. Every single time they jump on the panel, that's all they do. So why don't you Mexican fight fans talk about your own fighters and just focus on them? They never do that. They find some kind of way to bring black fighters into it. It is what it is. That's just to me, I'm just going to write it off now. Moving forward, I'm just going to write it off as that's a sign that Mexicans love black fighters. They just have a different way of showing it. That's how I'm going to look at it from now on. They love us because they claim we're boring. They claim we're runners, but yet they always talk about us. They're always watching our fights. They're paying attention to everything we do. They always got something to say about us, even though it's negative. So to me, that's just letting me know these motherfuckers love us, bro. Don't even get offended by that shit. If you black and that shit offends you, don't even get offended. These motherfuckers love us, bro. They're just expressing it in a very strange way, but they love us. It is what it is. That's how I look at that shit now, because that shit is hella weird. Hella weird. Like, there's multiple content creators that are Mexican dudes that do boxing channels. You go look at their content. These is Mexican guys. You would think they'll focus more on Mexican fighters because they're Mexicans. Nigga, like 90% of what they talk about is black fighters and they're Mexicans. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, shouldn't you be celebrating your own fighters? Lots of great Mexican fighters. Lots of them. You know what I'm saying? But yet, they put them on the back burner to talk about black fighters. And these is Mexicans doing that. If that's not strange to you, I don't know what will be. That's hella weird. So it is what it is, man. I call shit down the middle. And it's not just Mexicans, too. There's a lot of sucker-ass niggas that be hating, too. So it ain't just the Mexicans. Yeah, a lot of suckers out here. A lot of black sucker-ass motherfuckers out here with that bullshit. So you motherfuckers get smoked, too. It ain't just the Mexicans. To be honest with you, in a lot of cases, black motherfuckers worse than the Mexicans, to be honest with you. I ain't even gonna cap. So it is what it is, but the shit's just weird to me, bro. You know, I don't get that shit. So yeah. But yeah, man, that's really all I want to say on that. A lot of strange behavior going on in the boxing community. So I want to put that shit on blast. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll get back.